Welcome to the entertainment Talking Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video, and sorry for the double upload. I received the Rhett Ellison news right after I made that video regarding Leonard Williams, so figured I had to get this up as this was pretty big news. I've been talking about this since before the end of the season last year. I thought there were 4 guys that the New York Giants were going to cut. I didn't think Rhett Ellison was going to retire. I thought they would cut him, but I thought there were 4 guys they were going to cut, that being Kareem Martin, Alec Ogletree, Rhett Ellison, and Antoine Bethea. Antoine Bethea, at least currently, is still on the roster. He is the cheapest of the 4, $2.75 million. We'll have to wait and see what the New York Giants decide to do there, but I think they would save about $2.5 million if they were to cut him. By cutting Kareem Martin, Alec Ogletree, and now Rhett Ellison retiring, they've saved about $18 million on the cap between the 3 players. Even with Rhett Ellison retiring, we still take a $2.25 million dead cap hit, the same cap hit we would have taken had we cut him. I'm not 100% sure why that is, but regardless, that is the case when I did some research on the matter. So we're going to save ourselves $5 million. And the whole reason why I thought Rhett Ellison was expendable had very little to do with his play. And, I wish Rhett Ellison nothing but the best. It's kind of sad that he has to retire due to concussions. I think that is the reasoning behind it from what I've read. He has not fully recovered from a concussion that he suffered in season, so he decided to hang him up. He's made enough money, I suppose, to have a happy life outside of football, and I wish him nothing but the best. But, yeah, the whole reason why I wanted to move on from Rhett Ellison had nothing to do with him as a player. He was pretty solid as an all-around tight end. Matter of fact, the type of tight end I think New York Giants want, he was just overpaid. He was making too much money, especially when you factor in that we already have decent players at that position. Evan Ingram, of course, at this point in time is in a walking boot, and by all accounts should be ready to go near the start of training camp, and hopefully is, and hopefully he could remain healthy. But also the emergence of Caden Smith last year, the 6th-round draft pick by the 49ers, who was then released and the New York Giants picked up, had a very strong finish. He had close to 300 yards from the tight end spot in limited duty and had really good chemistry with Dan Jones. He's also known to be a very good blocker, which is why he was drafted in the first place. So it's why I thought that Rhett Ellison was expendable. As much as I like the guy, I do think that this $5 million could be allocated somewhere else on the roster to better help us, whether it be on the defense, whether it be on the offensive line. You might be able to get a nice depth player for the offensive line for $5 million, or at least put that towards an offensive lineman, or put that towards a defensive player. So the cap space that they had going into today was 73. It's now 78. The free agency video I did yesterday, I had this factored in. I firmly believe that they were going to have at least 80 between Rhett Ellison and Bethea. We'll have to wait and see what they decide to do with Bethea, and maybe they can make a couple of other small cuts, or, maybe restructure a couple of million here or there, get that salary cap up to about 85. But as I've said the whole time, $13 million has to be accounted for the draft, and an additional $7, $8, maybe $9 million has to be accounted for in-season moves, which is going to give the Giants between $60 and $65 million. And we'll have to see how that goes. Obviously, with the Leonard Williams news, if they decide not to bring him back, that will be another $13 million that I had allocated towards Leonard Williams throughout that video. So cap space is going to be interesting. Where they decide to spend it will be very interesting, and how long the contracts will be incredibly interesting. But I wanted to show you guys the quote off Twitter, short and simple, from NFL Update, who I go to a lot of my get a lot of my information from off of Twitter. Giants tight end Rhett Ellison is retiring from the NFL. And really shouldn't be much of a surprise to any of us, especially when we heard the news about the concussion and the fact that the Giants, I think if he wasn't going to retire, and this probably explains why he wasn't cut yet, if he wasn't going to retire, I do believe the Giants would have cut him. $7.25 million for a guy that could potentially be your third-string tight end just doesn't make financial sense. Sometimes you have to cut good players when they don't match up with the team or look to trade them. But yeah, they still will take that $2.25 million dead cap hit, but save $5 million on the salary. Rhett Ellison will hopefully be happily retired, and the New York Giants will be able to fill out their roster with that extra $5 million that will now be, allocated to the salary cap. So we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out, where the New York Giants decide to spend it. But as of now, today, they have $78 million in cap space. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.